So this is the brand new Alienware X14. When this first was announced back at CES, I wasn't too positive about it. You know, I thought for the specs and the price they were asking, it just didn't compare to the G14 and the Blade 14 for what you got on those devices. For a very similar price, you just got more power. The same holds true right now, but the price of this guy has come down quite a bit, and I actually bought this thing with my own money. Now, before I give you my opinion, a quick shout out to Best Buy for sponsoring this portion of the video, because right now they have some top deals happening. So if you're looking for a good back-to-school laptop, the Surface Laptop 4 13.5 inch is retailing for $899. This usually goes for $1,200. This will net you a Ryzen 5 processor, 16 gigabytes of RAM, 256 gigabytes of storage, and a 3x2 screen. Now, personally, I think the Asus G14 is probably the best deal on the site right now, because for $999, you can pick up last year's model that will get you an RTX 3060 paired with a Ryzen 5900HS. Now, the Asus ZenBook 14 has a 2.8K OLED display. This usually retails for $750. This comes with a brand new 12th gen processor. HP Spectre Envy 2-in-1 13-inch laptop. This usually retails for $1,050. Right now it's $649, and that comes with an i7, 8 gigabytes of RAM, and 512 gigabyte SSD. If you're interested in any of these devices, make sure to click on the links in the description down below. Now, from a design standpoint, the Alienware X14 is hands down the nicest looking 14-inch gaming laptop on the market. It also happens to be one of the thinnest. And look, you may brag all you want about having the thinnest laptops, but this is a gaming laptop, and being too thin is usually not a good thing when you have this kind of horsepower inside of here. From a design standpoint, I really dig this look. This little alien on the top here lights up and it looks super clean. You have the 14 number over here to represent its size. The entire body is made out of metal and it just feels super good in the hand. It's a little squishy on top. There's a little bit of lid flex, but it's nothing to be too concerned about. In fact, when you take a look at this chassis and you open it up, it gives you a lot of Dell XPS vibes. Like, this deck has that rubber texture that you'd find on a Dell XPS 13. And even the way the keyboard is laid out is like they took it from the Dell XPS. And then what they did was they took like the body or the chassis design of an Alienware and slapped it on. Now, it's fairly light, 4.06 pounds, so probably one of the lighter 14-inch gaming laptops you can carry. There's no ports on the left-hand side. All you have is a vent. And then on the right-hand side, you have another vent. All the ports are on the back of the laptop. Now, unfortunately, you only get one USB-A port. So you can connect a mouse to it, but if you want to connect anything that uses USB-A, you're probably going to have to get a dongle. You do have two USB Type-C Thunderbolt 4 ports, and then of course you have another Type-C port, which is actually your power connection. Like, that's awesome. You have a headphone jack, HDMI 2.1, and of course you get a micro SD card slot. Now, as you can hear, the fans are on. That is one of my biggest complaints about this laptop. The fans are always on. It doesn't matter what you're doing. I have the thing closed and the fans are still going. Like, listen to this. And look, like, I understand this is a thin laptop, so the fans are probably gonna be on quite a bit just to keep this thing cool. But if you're bringing this thing to class and you hear that little whine inside, because they are quite whiny, like, these are whiny fans, okay? Like, if you've ever heard coil whine before, then you know exactly what this is gonna be like. And if you're that dude in class with these fans on all the time, the person right beside you might get a little annoyed. Now, obviously, you can open up the laptop with one hand. The hinge is nice and stiff. There's not a lot of wobble. It doesn't flip back and forth like other laptops I've reviewed, but you have that Dell XPS looking keyboard. The keys, the travel distance, all that kind of stuff feels very reminiscent to the Dell XPS 13 and 15. Obviously, there's no numpad, nor there should be on a 14-inch deck, but you do have that rubberized texture. The RGB is great. It really pops on the deck of the keyboard. You can change it to any color you want. And of course, you have a bunch of quick shortcut keys on the right-hand side. Now, the touchpad is a little bit of a concern. It's wide enough. There's a lot of space moving your finger back and forth. It's the height that's kind of an issue. It's just very small. Like, there's just not a lot of space to move your finger up and down. Now, if they went with a 1920 by 1200 display or 16 by 10, that would give them more depth. And I think they could have made the touchpad a bit taller. But because they have the fans up here, everything gets pushed down and then the touchpad real estate gets taken away. Now, there are upward firing speakers on both sides. They get pretty loud. They're very clean and crisp, but there's not a lot of bass. Now, the sticker placement is very interesting because there's only an Intel sticker. I don't see an NVIDIA one. And from what I understand from my sticker sources, at the sticker factory, the Intel guy broke the kneecaps of the NVIDIA guy and got all the real estate on the deck. It's a crazy business, guys. If you ever want to work in the sticker industry, just don't do it. The bezels on this guy are a little thick at the bottom, but they thin out on the left and right hand side. This is a matte display, so you don't get a lot of reflection when light is hitting on it. Unfortunately, it's only a 720p webcam and it looks okay. It's nothing special, but you do have Windows Hello at the top to log you on because there is no fingerprint scanner on this device at all. Like I said, this is a 1920 by 1080 display, 16 by 9. It has pretty good screen brightness and the color accuracy is more than adequate. In fact, I'd be very, very comfortable to do design work on this, and it looks great when you're actually gaming on this computer. Now, I don't know if you can still hear it, but the fans are still going. Like, these fans are never ending, even though this is on battery saver mode. It's ridiculous. And even if I put this on quiet mode, the fans will still be on. Now this is, oh wait. I finally just heard the fans go off, but this SKU is the i7-12700H with an RTX 3060 that boosts up to 90 watts, has 32 gigabytes of RAM. But the one thing that this has that the other two laptops don't have, like the Blade 14 and G14, is an Intel processor. That Intel processor is faster than the 6900HS. It's just less efficient. If you're a developer who likes to game, you'd probably want this laptop instead. You're just gonna get faster compile times. It's just gonna be a speedier CPU to use. Now, the gaming experience is what really matters to most people. At the end of the day, this is a gaming laptop. And if you're talking about 1920 by 1080, it does an okay job. Like, this is not a super fast RTX 3060. Now, I did have a massive scare, and I mean a really big scare. I was about to like give this thing the worst review of its life. And there's some bad things about it, okay? Like, for example, right? I did all my tests. I came into the office one day and the fans wouldn't go on. Doesn't matter what I did. It doesn't matter if I tried to manipulate the fan curves, if I restarted the computer, if I powered it off and then powered on, the fans completely died. I honestly thought there was a hardware problem. I was freaking out. The thing was on idle and it was hovering at 85 degrees Celsius. I would throw a thermal load on this and it would just hover at 100 degrees Celsius. And because there was no fans, all it could do was thermal throttle, but it was just not enough to keep the heat away from the CPU. So, no idea what caused that, but I did wipe Windows, reinstall everything, and as you can hear, fans are still going, and it's fixed the problem. I personally think it was something to do with the Alienware command center. So maybe I got a lemon. I don't know. I'm gonna keep my eyes on this and I'll update you if it happens again. In terms of actual thermals, heat management is pretty good. You know, like this thing on full power, which is the fastest profile, you know, it gets up to 90, 95 degrees, but obviously it will power throttle to bring the temps down and then it'll stay in the 80s. You can also overclock the GPU. There's two different levels. Number 2 overclocks the GPU the most. I did play with overclock 01, and that's what I ran most of the tests on, and the performance was absolutely solid. Now the internals are straightforward. You can get up to 32 gigabytes of RAM, but it is soldered on the motherboard. That's 16 more than what the Blade 14 can do. And I appreciate Dell for at least allowing us to do that. Wi-Fi 6 card is swappable. Same with the NVMe SSD. If you want something bigger, down the road, you can swap this out for something else. 80 watt hour battery. I only got 4 hours and 12 minutes before needing to charge. So here's the thing, I really like this thing. It's a very nice looking laptop. It feels great, and I think the design of this is much better looking than the G14 or the Blade 14. But there's a lot of little QC issues that have me worried, okay? And I'm not saying the other two are perfect, because trust me, they have their problems of their own, but this one just feels unpredictable. Like, why is my computer's fans not working at all? It's just crazy, and the software experience with Command Center has been an absolute nightmare. I also think the price is a bit too high when you compare the performance and what you get with the other two laptops. I think if you're someone who needs this Intel processor because the other two only offer AMD, let's say you're a developer or a creator, then this would probably be preferred. But I think if you're strictly gaming and want the most performance possible for the money possible, then the G14 probably still offers the best bang for your buck. Let me know if you have this laptop and if you've experienced any of the issues that I have. If you're interested in any of those Best Buy deals or this laptop, there'll be links in the description down below. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one.